What would you do if you won the lottery tonight? Would you clock in tomorrow or quit your job on the spot? For many, hitting the jackpot and walking away from work is the ultimate dream. No more bosses, no more 9-to-5 grind, just freedom. But be careful, because the grass isn't always greener on the other side. As you'll see, quitting your job after a lottery win can lead to unexpected consequences. Before we get started, I would like to give a shout out to Paul Mata. You're doing great things for this channel, and we enjoy having you here. Now, let's get to the video. Gary MacDonald. Our first story begins in East London, where Gary MacDonald had been driving a truck for more than 30 years. He knew the long hours and early mornings well. His life was ordinary, his paycheck modest, and his future seemed predictable. But the lottery gods had different plans. One morning at 5:20 a.m., Gary pulled himself out of bed for another workday. Going through his emails, he spotted a message from the National Lottery stating, "Good news about your ticket." At first glance, he thought he'd won a measly 35 pounds. Looking closer, he realized he'd actually won more than 5.2 million pounds. Gary had a problem. He had to wait until 8 a.m. to reach anyone at the lottery office. "I've always been laid back, but that was the longest 2.5 hours of my life," Gary said. "It dawned on me that there was absolutely no point in doing another day's work. So at 6:30 a.m., I called my boss and resigned." What makes Gary's story fascinating is his first purchase. With millions in the bank, he didn't buy a luxury car or mansion. His first buy was a Shark vacuum. We still shopped around for the best deal. We're not flashy people. We know the value of things. Gary's 6:30 a.m. phone call has since become UK lottery lore. A story of a man who didn't just dream of quitting. He did it before the ink on his winning ticket was even dry. But not every lottery winner walks away with millions. Sometimes even a smaller jackpot is enough to buy freedom. Reshawn Toliver. Not every lottery story involves millions. Sometimes even a smaller prize is enough to walk away from a job you despise. That was the case for Reshawn Toliver, a Kentucky woman who had spent years in a position that left her exhausted and unhappy. She wasn't living paycheck to paycheck, but she was living without joy. The daily grind felt endless. Then in March 2024, she bought a scratch-off ticket on a whim. To her astonishment, the ticket revealed a $90,000 prize. After taxes, she'd clear around $64,800. Not enough to retire on, but enough to make a decision she'd dreamed about for years. Reshawn quit her job immediately. For her, the money wasn't about luxury cars or expensive vacations. It was about freedom. Freedom from a workplace that drained her spirit. Freedom from showing up somewhere every day where she felt stuck. Some critics said she was reckless. After all, $65,000 disappears fast. But for Reshawn, the value wasn't in how long the money would last. It was in the symbolic act of finally walking away. In her own words, "I was miserable before. Now I can breathe." Her story captures a different kind of lottery dream, the chance to break free. Reshawn's $90,000 escape shows how the power of quitting can sometimes be worth more than the jackpot itself. And while Reshawn's win gave her peace of mind, another player in Michigan scratched her way to a much larger prize and wasted no time saying goodbye to her job. Anonymous Michigan woman in Oakland County, Michigan. An ordinary day turned extraordinary for a woman who decided to remain anonymous. She had purchased a scratch-off ticket like countless times before, but this one carried a staggering $2 million prize. When she realized she'd won, her reaction wasn't a shopping spree or champagne celebration. Her first thought was about her job. For years, she'd shown up, put in the hours, and collected the paycheck. But now, everything was different. With one scratch of silver foil, she was free. She announced her plans, quit her job, take a vacation, and set aside the rest for savings. To her, the $2 million wasn't just money, it was breathing room. It was the ability to stop worrying about bills, stop clocking in every morning, and finally live life on her own terms. What makes her story interesting is how practical her outlook was. While many winners dive headfirst into luxury, she planned for stability. A short break to enjoy the moment, then financial discipline to make it last. Though she chose anonymity, her decision to leave her job immediately spoke volumes. For this Michigan woman, the lottery wasn't about flashy headlines. It was about reclaiming time, and in many ways, that might be the most valuable prize of all. But while she walked away quietly, others used their win as a chance to reinvent themselves completely, just like a young supermarket worker in Scotland. For Olivia Love of Glasgow, Scotland, the lottery didn't just bring wealth, it brought transformation. Olivia worked shifts at a local supermarket, juggling long hours for modest pay. Like so many, she dreamed of more. That dream came true when she and her partner won the Set for Life lottery, £10,000 every month for a full year. Some might scoff at the time frame. It wasn't permanent and it wasn't hundreds of millions. But for Olivia, it was enough to quit her supermarket job on the spot. For the first time in her adult life, she wasn't tied to a rota or paycheck. She began focusing on her passions. Olivia had always dreamed of creating content in the wedding industry. With the steady prize money covering her bills, she finally had the chance to pursue it. Her win also transformed her family life. No longer exhausted from long shifts, she had more time with her partner and energy to plan their future. Instead of just surviving, they began thriving. Olivia's story shows how even limited time winnings can act as a launching pad. The security of those monthly payments gave her courage to reinvent herself. In her own words, winning meant more than money. It meant freedom. But freedom isn't always clean or simple. For one New Jersey construction worker, quitting his job after a win led straight into a courtroom battle. Americo Lopes. In New Jersey, Americo Lopes lived the tough life of a construction worker. Long days, heavy labor, and constant grind. Then, in 2009, everything changed. He won a $38.5 million Mega Millions jackpot. Almost immediately, Americo quit his job. To his boss and coworkers, it seemed like a fairy tale ending. The hardworking laborer had finally caught his big break, but a storm was brewing. Americo hadn't bought that ticket entirely on his own. According to his coworkers, they had all pitched in money as part of an office lottery pool. When Americo claimed the prize for himself, they felt betrayed. The group took him to court, and what followed was a bitter, highly publicized legal battle. In the end, the jury sided with the coworkers. Americo was forced to share his jackpot. His reputation was ruined. What should have been a story of triumph became one of greed and dishonor. For Americo, quitting his job was easy, but facing lawsuits, broken friendships, and public scrutiny was far harder. His story serves as a cautionary tale. Money can buy freedom, but it can also magnify conflict. He thought he had escaped construction work forever. Instead, he found himself building a case in court, brick by brick, dollar by dollar. Americo's story shows how a lottery win can create unexpected battles. But for some winners, the real fight isn't in the courtroom. It's the fight they've already been through just to survive. Scadding. Sometimes, quitting your job isn't dramatic, it's simply inevitable. That was the case for Scadding, a mechanic from South Wales. By 2009, Les was unemployed, struggling financially, and just recovering from cancer. His prospects looked bleak. Then came the Euro Millions draw. Les and his wife scooped a staggering £45.5 million jackpot. Overnight, their lives changed forever. For Les, returning to work was out of the question. He hadn't been under the hood of a car in months, and now he never would again. Instead, he embraced a new life of luxury, traveling the world and buying properties. One of his boldest moves was purchasing a controlling share in Newport County, a struggling football club. Les went from fixing cars to running a team in the Football League. Though he eventually sold his stake, his story became an inspiring tale of rags to riches. From jobless and nearly broke, Les had transformed into one of the UK's most famous lottery winners. His win highlights the dramatic contrast between pre-lottery life and post-lottery freedom. For Les, the ability to walk away from financial hardship wasn't just a choice. It was a lifeline. The win wasn't about flashy toys. It was about security and peace of mind. But peace of mind is fragile. Another British winner, a nurse from Scotland, discovered that quitting a steady job can sometimes open the door to financial ruin. John McGuinness. In 1996, Scotland's John McGuinness was living a modest life as an auxiliary nurse. His job wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. Then he hit the national lottery jackpot, 9.6 million pounds. John didn't just quit his nursing job. He reinvented his entire life. He invested heavily in property, cars, and most notably, football. He became a shareholder in Livingston FC, hoping to turn his windfall into a lasting legacy. But the dream quickly soured. Football clubs are notoriously difficult to run profitably, and Livingston was no exception. John poured millions into the team, but poor financial management and a lack of business experience cost him dearly. The investments collapsed, and much of his fortune evaporated. By the 2000s, John was no longer the wealthy man he once was. His story became a cautionary tale. Leaving a steady job is easy, but keeping wealth is much harder. John's decision to quit nursing immediately was understandable. After all, who wouldn't? But the aftermath shows the danger of sudden wealth without guidance. His millions brought him influence, status, and opportunity, but also risk, pressure, and ultimately loss. John McGuinness proved that one lottery win can disappear fast. But what happens when you win twice? Evelyn Adams has the answer, and it's not pretty. Evelyn Adams. Winning the lottery once is rare. Winning twice, almost unheard of. But in the mid-1980s, New Jersey convenience store clerk Evelyn Adams did the impossible. She won the lottery 2 years in a row, pocketing a total of $5.4 million. Quitting her job was the easy part. Evelyn believed she was unstoppable, blessed by luck itself. But with millions at her disposal, she made one disastrous choice after another. She began gambling heavily in Atlantic City, convinced her winning streak would continue. But casinos don't reward luck, they profit from it. Over time, Evelyn lost much of her fortune at the tables. Poor investments and generous handouts drained the rest. Today, Evelyn's name is often mentioned in financial cautionary tales. Despite being twice as lucky as most, she ended up nearly broke. Quitting her job gave her freedom, but it also left her without a safety net once the money disappeared. Her story is perhaps the ultimate example of how wealth without discipline can vanish faster than it arrives. Yet, not every winner falls victim to the so-called lottery curse. One young mother from Northern Ireland used her Euromillions fortune to walk away from work and never looked back. Jasmine Rooney. Our final story is about Jasmine Rooney, a young mother from Northern Ireland who, along with her husband and family, won £152 million in the Euromillions in 2016. At the time, Jasmine worked as a healthcare assistant, balancing long shifts with raising her children. When the win was announced, her life changed instantly. She and her family became some of the UK's richest lottery winners, and like many before her, Jasmine didn't hesitate. She left her healthcare job almost immediately. For Jasmine, the win was about more than just luxury. It was about security for her children, stability for her family, and relief from the pressures of long working hours. With millions in the bank, she no longer had to sacrifice time with her kids for the sake of a paycheck. Unlike other winners who spiraled, Jasmine and her family took a more measured approach. They purchased a lavish estate, enjoyed luxury holidays, and invested in businesses. But they also tried to remain grounded. Jasmine often spoke about how surreal it felt to walk away from her old life and step into a new one overnight. Her decision to quit work wasn't reckless. It was intentional. For Jasmine, the lottery meant the ability to dedicate her time to family rather than to an employer. Her story closes our list with a reminder that not all lottery winners fall victim to the curse. Sometimes, quitting a job after a jackpot really can lead to a better life. From overnight resignations to shocking downfalls, these lottery winners prove one thing: quitting your job is just the beginning. But remember, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. What happens next can make the win a blessing or a curse. So, if you hit the jackpot, would you keep working or walk away tomorrow? Tell us in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to The Capital Quest for more stories of money, power, and the real cost of chasing both. While you're here, check out this video where we go over the 6 key differences between Powerball and Mega Millions. Until next time.